are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 193 of the College Loop Podcast. I am your host, Harrison Tarr. It is not your boy, the Tank. It is not Dylan Lark leading this one off today. I'm your host, Harrison Tarr, at by Harrison Tarr on Twitter, hanging out with a good friend of mine, friend of the program, Mr. Jacob Hillman, Auburn Athletics' own, or Auburn Sports Network's own, very own, Jacob Hillman, at Jacob Hillman AU. Hillman, how are you today, my man?
I'm doing well. We're coming off a big softball win over Kentucky. So just overall, that capped off a very positive Monday on campus at Auburn.
Positive Monday on campus on the Plains and around Auburn athletics and a lot of good things happening, trying to keep the spirits high. We're going to sunshine pump a little bit today, Hillman. Let's have a little bit of fun. Thanks for hopping in and stepping in. Tank couldn't be with us this evening. Got to take care of himself, take care of the folks. So make sure that he's good. Take care of your people first. Absolutely. That's what we believe in here. We're gonna roll right into football. We're gonna be quick, Hillman. I just want to ask a couple things. Got a couple news items, a couple of commitments, and I want to get a couple of your thoughts. Like I said, we're gonna be positive today. I think there are some positives from today. First and foremost, Auburn earns the commitment of Isaiah Rakes, R-A-I-K-E-S. So sorry.
Rakes.
Okay, that looks like it should be Rikes, in my opinion, but that's, nobody asked me. Texas A&M defensive line transfer, former 3-star, also adding some more depth on the trenches on the other side, grabbing Kieron.
I'm not sure about that.
I think it's Kieron Crawford. I want to make ssure. I actually looked for enunciation on this one, man, just unable to find it. I'm going with Kieron Crawford out of Arkansas State. He brings a good bit of experience with him. And just a year ago, 7 tackles, 2 sacks. For the Arkansas State Red Wolves and brings a boatload of in-game experience. Hugh Freeze really making it a point to go and get deeper in the trenches on both sides of the ball, specifically on that defensive side where we know that Auburn's needed some help. Your outlook on the pieces that Auburn's added so far in this late portal period, and we've really not talked to you much since fall ball, or excuse me, not from fall ball, since the fall portal or December portal, whatever you want to call it at this point, the earlier portal period. Where do you think Auburn needs to build up?
Way too many.
Yeah, the portal's getting confusing. I feel like I'm being consumed by the portal.
And I know all the head coaches agree with that. But no, I think that what this staff, Montrell King-Williams, the primary recruiter here taking over as defensive tackles coach, has been really, really solid so far. As Auburn's, like you said, been trying to just beef up the trenches, whether that was add simply bodies. And what they've done is gone out and gotten highly sought out recruits, whether from USC, Arkansas State. And it's been a big deal because, again, that was really, I think, the biggest question mark for this defense. Like, the secondary is young, but you know the names. You see who's you see the pecking order back there.
Sure.
So you feel more comfortable with the defensive backs kind of surprising you. Whereas the defensive line, you had the questions because the lack of numbers. You needed the edge rusher really badly today, especially a veteran. You've got plenty of young stars in there, but who knows if they're going to be ready for SEC games this fall. So I really think that King-Williams and the rest of that defensive coaching staff has done a great job with the defensive line so far.
When you look around the rest of this group, and there's still some places that you'd like to think Auburn would go and beef up their personnel at. For you, where are the blaring holes remaining? And I say blaring holes, I'm talking about you want a pad now. You're getting to the point where you've got that luxury a little bit. I'm not going to say Auburn has all the talent that he wants to be or that it will be come year 3, year 4 of the Hugh Freeze tenure. But Auburn feels like they're in a better position certainly this year than they were just a year ago. Where are some places you'd like to see them pad up that roster and have some bodies should things go awry come this fall?
Yeah, I think you look at the back half of the front seven, the linebackers, and obviously Wesley Steiner entered the portal on Monday, and he had a solid 4 years at all, 85 career tackles. He's going to go to another program and succeed there. But yeah, that's the spot that I think needs the most depth built up at, similar to the defensive line. And I think Coach Josh Aldridge, the linebackers coach, he's on it. Coach Freeze tweeted on Monday that he asked Coach Aldridge and Coach Montrell King-Williams if they're done yet, and both responded, no, sir. So I think that's a sign of things to come later this week, as well as we enter the later stages of the portal here in the spring, and we'll see what happens. But that's always exciting to know that the good news is not over, and I think the linebacker spot is the next one that sees something happen.
You'd like to think so, because Eugene can't make every play on his own. Eugene Asante can't do it all by himself. He can come close, but you need a little supporting role, and you need some depth there. Dylan and I were talking a few episodes ago. We were giving kind of our, not wish list, but positions that you wouldn't be angry to see Auburn add. And you look over to the offensive side of the ball just here for a second. And I'm not starting up rumors. Payton Thorne is the starter going into 2024. I want this well documented. Do you think that there's a real world, though, that Auburn goes and gets a guy to kind of pad that between Payton Thorne and Hank Brown? I'm not cutting Holden Garner out of the situation. I don't believe, I've not heard that he's in the portal yet, which is kind of surprising to me. But that's neither here nor there. Would it shock you to go see let me rephrase here. I can speak English, I promise you. Would it shock you to see Hugh Freeze and company go out and get one of those skill position players and maybe a quarterback to pad a little bit?
Yeah, certainly a skill position player. I think wide receiver is certainly
Sure.
the position to keep an eye out. But as far as the quarterbacks go, I don't know. I don't really want, because I guess it wouldn't shock me, but I don't expect it at all. I really don't know what the plan is. Like you said, the plan is Payton Thorne as the starting quarterback whenever we get to August.
Payton Thorne's the starter. Period. End of conversation.
Right, and I think the hope has been that Holden, Hank, and Walker have all pushed him enough to improve and grow, and I think that's what's happened. I think in spring ball he was much more vocal. He was much more confident. It's the second year that he's back. He knows Coach Free's style. It's obviously a new offensive coordinator, but looking back at it, think about it. It was probably a mix of Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery last year.
Sure.
I think that's very real. So for it to more become just Hugh Freeze's offense with Derek Nix also adding his input, I do think that it's become much easier for Payton to grow and become better and whatnot. So yeah, I think that he's ready to take the next step. It's all about getting out in the field and showing it again. So
I guess what we were getting at a little bit more in the conversation Dylan and I had, and I'm not cutting you off. I think you're right. I mean, this is Thorne's team all year, and get behind Thorne. Auburn fans is I'm in that camp. Get behind him. He's going to be the guy. Support him, because it's going to ebb just like anything. But this young man's had the opportunity to go into an offseason knowing it's his team. I guess more what I was asking, and I made a wild analogy that I need you to kind of bear with me, and only you and a handful of other people will get this one. But going and getting like a Cord Sandberg out of the portal, not a guy that is going to come in and compete for a starting job, but a guy that, if Payton Thorne needs to go get his ankle taped, that you're not throwing a Hank Brown, that you're not throwing a Holden Garner, who has looked a little deer in the headlights to us before, and you sure as hell don't want to burn a red shirt on a Walker White.
Right.
A guy that can be a buffer there. Do you think that's in the cards, or am I just kind of reaching
yeah,
stuff?
It could be, but also maybe this isn't the craziest thought in the world, and this is just me thinking. Could Samuel, his former teammate, that's the Cal transfer, could he potentially fill that role?
Sure.
He was starting for Cal last year, and I think he kind of fits that role pretty well. Obviously, he is listed as a wide receiver. He is that is his primary position. That is where he's practicing, but he has shown his ability to play quarterback, and in those situations where you need someone, I think he would be a perfect guy to go to.
That's a good point, and that thought has crossed my mind exactly once, and it is now. I'm just gonna be transparent with you. I hadn't even really given that a ton of thought because of listed.
And I completely understand, because he is listed as a wide receiver. At 8A, he was in the yellow non-contact jersey. He was dealing with the bum shoulders. So I think here's the issue, is I think it'd be very important for him to practice at quarterback before that's the case. And like I said, I don't think he's done that. So he knows the offense. That's obviously something for the wide receiver. So he knows the offense, but I do think before he is the backup quarterback, you would need him to go in there. But Yeah, I do think that is truly a battle between Holden Garrier, Hank Brown, and Walker White. Quite frankly, I don't know if it's necessarily guaranteed that Walker White gets redshirted. Who knows? Chances are that I think that'd be ideal, but
You'll see him
also
this year.
also if he's I was going to say you have the 4 games now.
Yeah,
So
use them.
might as well use them, and I think that it just depends on how he performs in the summer and the fall.
Sure.
That I think is going to be the most important thing for Coach Freeze and the staff is who are the 2 best quarterbacks on this roster, and that's going to answer our question.
Just food for thought. Just some casual conversation. Was not. I'm definitely not in the there needs to be another quarterback battle camp. I think that's probably the worst thing for Auburn right now. I think that you certainly don't want that. Barring Cam Newton discovers he has a year of eligibility and wants to come back to Auburn, the NFL is willing to pretend it never happened. Other than that, short of that happening, I think that Auburn's in the best spot they could be in terms of continuity, because you want to develop that continuity, and that's so important.
And there hasn't been a lot of it as of late. So
no, not since Bo Nix.
Right.
Just being transparent. So it'll be a nice, refreshing change of pace for Auburn fans this year, seeing some continuity and in year to year schematics for one being improved, but also personnel and the most important position on the field. It's as simple as that. So we're going to talk, speaking of teams that are getting pretty excited for a 2024-2025 campaign. On the other side of this quick little ad break, I'm going to read really, really quick. I think that this is my audition for a pharmaceutical ad, Hillman. So get ready. I've gotten really, really good at this. We're going to talk about Auburn men's basketball, and I'm going to pick Jacob Hillman's brain on Auburn women's basketball on the other side. Coach Jade been putting in work, man. Been putting in some work. This team is for real. This program is for real. So we'll get back to the Auburn talk here in just a moment. Before we do that, I want to remind everyone, if you're hanging out right here on the College Loop YouTube channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up and drop your comments. Give us your feedback on who needs to continue to pad their rooms, what positionally throughout the Auburn football program, who needs to transfer in. If you're trying to shoo anybody away, don't use our comments for negative hate. That's not what we're here for. Not right now, at least. But make sure you drop a comment, like, subscribe, ring the bell so you can stay up to date with everything going on here at the College Loop YouTube channel. If you're listening on a streaming platform, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is on your platform of choice. Share the show with a friend so we can continue to grow the College Loop family. If you want to support the show and ways to go beyond, like, subscribe, and ring the bell, head over to thewarreport.com, www.thewarreport.com. Pick up your very own College Loop Podcast, War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. Comes in 5 different colorways, only $25. Once you pick up your shirt, make sure you use hashtag Feelin' Loopy. That's hashtag Feelin' without the G. Feelin' Loopy on your favorite social media platform. Tag us in it. We'll throw it up on the next show, next stream. Thank you guys for your continual love and support. You guys are the reason we're able to do everything we are here, and the reason we're able to talk Auburn men's basketball with the one and only esteemed Jacob Hillman. How did I do? You think I could get a pharmaceutical like you if you were a loved one that's been affected by? You know what I mean?
Quite frankly, I mean that was perfect. 10 out of 10.
I appreciate you. I can always count on you for being a big hype man. So you are a man of many. A man of culture, jack of all trades, master of a few. So I appreciate you. Let's talk Auburn men's basketball here, Hillman. It's been a minute since we were able to sit down and talk hoops. And folks, I know that you guys have heard Dylan and I going on and on about, Dylan Cardwell's back, Johni Broome's back. You got some transfer portal pieces that you're really, really excited about. And obviously a couple of big-time freshmen and Todd Pettiford and Ja'Kai Howard. Hillman, you and I haven't talked ball since we've heard some big news, and on or off air for that matter. At this point, we've just been talking golf, which I'm not mad about. But when you look at this roster, which was enlarged, reconstructed, kind of metaphorically remolded and into a different identity, even despite keeping a lot of your pieces, I think this team is drastically different year to year. Hillman, where are you at in terms of what the Auburn men's basketball roster, what Bruce Pearl's got cooking for 2024, 2025? How do these new pieces fit in with the returners, and where are you at in terms of this team's way too early ceiling?
Yeah, I think it's in a great spot. And you look at the return of Johni Broome as well as Dylan Cardwell, and obviously Denver Jones and Chad Baker-Mazara coming back for their second year within the program, as well as Chaney Johnson. It really excites you that, all right, you've got a great core basis that has experienced this for a year. One's an All-American and should have been the first team All-SEC.
Agreed.
And then the other guys are those impact players that had significant roles on this SEC tournament championship team this past year, and it really should excite Auburn fans. And obviously, you added J.P. Pegues, and I think Coach Pearl and the staff are looking to go add one more guard and one more big man. Now, is it a center or is it a four? I think that's the big question, because I really do think there's a chance that Johni Broome is moving up to the four next year. That would be really interesting, and I would be excited to see that. And obviously, if that's the case, you're probably going after another center to compete with Dylan for that starting job. So, and whether or not that's the case, I think if Johni is still starting at the five, Shane Johnson, the ability he showed in those last 9 or so games last year, right after Jalen got hurt against Kentucky, I thought he showed the potential and the ceiling he could potentially reach with a really, really good summer and fall as well. So the excitement's there. I think I said this to you earlier, Harrison. The analytics already love Auburn. I mean, it's kind of something that shouldn't shock anybody at this point, but this is the Torvik analytic, and right now it's 24 to 25 top 20 projection at number 13. That's number 1 in the SEC. Right in front of Texas at 14, Tennessee at 15. Florida's rounds out the SEC at number 18. Number 1's Iowa State, by the way. That's interesting.
Go Clones.
Duke, Gonzaga, Houston, and Kansas follow to round out the top 5. So, point being is that even with some of the exits that have taken place, Jalen Williams obviously graduating, and then Trey Johnson and Aiden Holloway transferring out, as well as Katie Johnson. The analytics still see what's on this team and realizes that it has potential to be just as good, if not better, next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually just about to ask you this, Hillman. You look at your big time contributors that are leaving this program, and that's Jalen Williams, who ran out of eligibility tragically because, gosh, was that guy just awesome to watch.
Right.
And what a career at Auburn for sure. Katie Johnson, who once one of those guys ebbs and flows, right? But also when you boom, you boom. When you bust, you bust. But when you boom, you boom. Certainly, I think a lot of us were still very high on the potential of Trey Donaldson, and Aiden Holloway is becoming borderline Voldemort within the Auburn community, metaphorically. Obviously, announcing his commitment to Alabama. But when you look at what Auburn lost, and you look at what they gained, I don't know that Auburn didn't get better. And that is pending on Todd Pettiford and Ja'Kai Howard both panning out. And I think both of those young men have a tremendous future. And not just at the collegiate level, but in the NBA as well. But we got to see those pan out. Is the ceiling for this team potentially higher than it was just this year? Now, granted, this team we all think could have been a hell of a lot better. That first round exit to Yale is what it is. That's it's basketball. It's March Madness. But I think that this team, talent-wise, might have gotten better.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly something to ponder, because I think you're right. When you're talking about the ceiling, that's a very delicate thing in college basketball, where
Sure.
it's impossible to predict and project a team's ceiling, because they could be playing their best basketball in March, and one devastating loss that kind of caps it. And you were wrong, because you thought Auburn was a Sweet 16 team this year at the least, and sure enough, Yale happened. So I think the loss of Jalen Williams is like that's a tough one. How do you replace that kind of production that you were getting in his senior year? We'll see. Could it be in a guard into Todd Pettiford or J.P. Pegues or Denver Jones? Maybe. Could it be in your wing in Chad Baker-Mazara? Or, I mean, who knows? Ja'Kai Howard at one point was a top 10 player in his recruiting class. I don't think he's going to put that kind of scoring out there in his freshman campaign, but you never know.
Sure.
So how do you replace that scoring output? I don't know. And obviously his defense got so much better over his career.
Sure.
He showed more effort, especially in his senior year, his final year. And he really, really, really looked like he was in control on every possession he really ever played in the 2024 season.
Sure.
So I think yes, the ceiling could be higher. You got to see who the last big man is, because I think it's because of I think Jalen Williams is just that difficult to replace.
And you're so right, and you got to see proof of concept, and you got to see it early on. And Auburn's going to have to grind through another non-con schedule that's never easy,
Right.
And by design, I think that benefits Auburn a lot year to year when BP and company kind of load up on the non-con slate. So I'm with you.
The Maui Invitational is going to be really, really a big deal for Auburn, I think, this year.
Sure.
Obviously, you have some of the Final Four teams that'll be there.
Sure.
Others that finish inside the top 10 of the country. So, and even the mid majors, they were tournament teams, and
sure.
Auburn will be tested early, because and here's the thing: we talk about the schedule being tough last year. The non-conference schedule. Let's be honest; it panned out, and it turned out most of those teams weren't good at all.
Yeah, correct.
App State,
which is hard to predict ahead of time.
Right. I think Appalachian State was probably the best.
Sure.
That Auburn faced. I'm just trying to think back, because Virginia Tech was not better than App State. Neither was USC or Indiana.
USC probably the biggest. USC and Indiana being the most biggest disappointment on that schedule.
Right.
But you look at the opponent's Auburn schedule. It's not like you didn't try to build a hard non-con.
Exactly, and that's what's crazy about it. Go up to Brooklyn and play St. Bonaventure, and Baylor. Man, Baylor was the one. Okay, Baylor was the best team that Auburn faced in the non-conference last year. That's true. Most of these teams that Auburn's going to play are going to be more like Baylor than they will be USC or Indiana, I think, this upcoming season. So
I think that plays to Auburn's benefit in the long run. Hopefully, you've got your passport ready, your flip-flops and sunglasses accordingly packed.
Oh, I do.
Good.
Maui, that's big time.
Maui's ready for Hillman, or Maui can never be ready for Hillman.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
it's going to have to put on its game face for all, the Auburn family, no doubt. Okay. We talked for a minute there about Auburn men's basketball and their outlook going into 2024. And I'm really glad you were able to hop on today, Hillman, because we really hadn't picked each other's brain about this one. And I want to talk with you for a second here. We mentioned it before the break. Coach J.
Right.
Folks, I think you would probably agree with me here, Hillman. Coach Johni Harris is probably one of the most underappreciated coaches. I mean, you Brent Crouch, yes, I'm with you. I'm with you there.
That was going to be my argument against it, but also the fact that I think that Coach J is starting to get appreciated. This team and this program is starting to get noticed, and it's because of these transfers that she's bringing in.
You just add Deanna Gasson, who winds up being sixth man of the year in the Big 12 at Texas, coming to play her final year of eligibility at Auburn. And a slew of other names that are, I mean, you're seeing in and out, kind of revolving door. Welcome to the world, the transfer portal, right? But I think that Auburn gets better and upgrades every time someone leaves, and that's kind of how it feels here. And it feels like Coach J and company are on the cusp of doing something really, really special. What is Auburn missing? And it's probably another guard. What is Auburn missing in terms of incoming talent that they probably need to do, or they need to do via the portal, in order to really be able to turn some heads? Because I think that this team is on the precipice of doing something really cool, Hillman.
You're exactly right. And that does go back to what you were talking about, where honestly it's felt like a bit of a revolving door over the last 2 years since Coach J and her staff has arrived on the Plains. Is that, the roster's definitely turned over quite a bit. Honestly, Scott Grayson being one of the consistent pieces to that, and now she's gone.
One of the greatest of all time at Auburn, by the way.
Yeah, hell of a career, by honesty, and her last 5 regular season games are hard to believe, and that really will go down. I think that should go down in Auburn women's basketball history. That's something that should be remembered because of how it carried Auburn to that first NCAA tournament appearance since 2019.
WNBA is dead to me for that, by the way.
Yeah, it's just wrong with me as well. But anyway, here's the thing. What you're missing, yes, you're correct. It's another guard. I think maybe another slasher. That'd be good because Talia Scott's going to shoot the lights out of Neville several times next year. It would be like honestly Scott Grayson, the way she did that. That is who she's replacing. Now the difference between those two players is Scott's just a spot up shooter that she's going to catch and shoot it, and she's also going to run some point guard as well. But Honesty was one that was physical and got to the basket and
3-level player.
Made a lot of free throws. Exactly. So Scott will develop that as her career goes, but she was just in high school before last year. She was 5-star going to Arkansas. So this is one of the biggest gets that Coach Harris and this staff have gotten. And then it doesn't mention Gaston, who is going to be a force down low, obviously, and that's with some young players that are going to be way better next year. Yakai Milton, she's going to make a huge step, I think. She made a huge step just in the last half of the SEC schedule, I think. And then obviously you have Savannah Scott and Owen as well. Owen Akinwala. And I really think that they're going to make significant steps that kind of Deanna Gaston will lead the way. And Taylor Collins is listed as a forward, but I think she plays like a big guard. So
sure, tall guard.
I really think that she kind of fits in more with the guards.
Absolutely. I think the sky's the limit for this program going into 24, 25. And to your point here, Coach Jay's putting butts in seats at Neville Arena, and like something we've not seen in a long, long time.
Historically, literally historically, like the season attendance record Auburn broke this year, and obviously 3 of the 5 highest attended women's basketball games were this year.
There's the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, you have the proof of concept. It's right. Only up from here, and I'm very, very excited for Coach Jay. And you and I had this conversation, which came on campus before we move on into Diamond Sports very briefly, and then we're talking some Auburn men's golf because I am so damn excited for this weekend. So excited. But I think that you and I had this discussion when Coach Jay first came on the Plains. Like, she's the real deal. This is the real deal. Someone that's going to take Auburn and develop players, unlike something we've seen in a while. Unique Thompson is just a diamond in the rough in the fact that she was just awesome.
Imagine if she played on this year's team.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
yeah, I know. I think about that kind of a lot. I do. Obviously, one of the greats in Unique Thompson, but at the same time, you look at just overall player development as a group and gelling as a team, and really sticking to a specific brand of basketball, commitment to physical defense, but also high tempo, high octane offense.
Right.
This group is unlike anything we've seen, at least as of late, from Auburn.
And I think that's why these players are starting to flock to Auburn and to Coach Jay, because it's not the prettiest brand of basketball that you could possibly play, but man, if it's not, like, it'll teach you how to play basketball.
It's some of the most fun basketball to watch.
Yeah, and I think that these girls understand that for a chance to continue to grow the program and be that first team that makes a little bit of history. So, I mean, because of the way these programs were at when Coach Pearl took over the men's program and Coach Jay took over the women's program, it's too easy to compare them and the trajectories. First of all, Coach Jay's is actually taking a bit of a quicker climb.
Yep.
Than Coach Pearl's. It's kind of wild that I think that they're in this exact position where next year, who knows, that you if you're in the top half of that SEC when you're getting to the later parts of February or March, who knows what kind of run that team can make.
Absolutely. And hey, look, I'm not taking anything away from what Iowa and Caitlin Clark did this year. I'm not taking anything away from the great programs out west that they've gotten in Stanford and as of late USC. But women's, it's never been more fun to play women's basketball in the Southeastern Conference than it is right now.
Right, that's a good point.
Look around. I'm not, and I know I'm an SEC, agenda pusher, whatever. I firmly believe this is the strongest conference in intercollegiate sports and all around. You can't convince me otherwise. But hell, women's basketball, what a time to throw your name in the mix to make some history, because you've got a couple of, well, there's one absolute power dynasty in South Carolina, and another kind of the hero and the villain, if you will,
Mhm.
of the SEC, and South Carolina and LSU, and what Don Staley and obviously well, we don't need to go down and praise anyone in Baton Rouge just
Well,
because.
I was going to say Tennessee's probably back on the rise soon
Right, sure,
with their new head coach. So
yes, and I'll give Kim Mulkey your flowers, but you know what I'm saying. You got the hero and the villain, or the
yes.
yeah. It's what a time to be in the SEC for women's basketball. Let's move into Diamond Sports super quick. I've just got a couple questions for you here, Hillman. Don't even need a I don't even need a recap. Mississippi State. I'm sure Dylan handled it on Sunday, and I preview Florida A&M for you guys. If you guys really want me to, tweet at me. I'll put out a 2-minute video. My question for you, Hillman, is let's just look at the numbers, and accept the fact that Auburn baseball just did not have the year it wanted to have to. I know where I'm calling it quits before it's over. Yes, I am. And if Auburn goes on a historic run, guys, I want to be the person that you can go back and use as whiteboard material and locker room material to anger people and get them fired up to win. I'm fine with that. I'm cool being that guy. But if this season continues to kind of round itself out the way that it's been thus far, and don't get me wrong, Auburn's had a hell of a slate. The SEC is just really, really good at baseball perennially. What can Auburn take to salvage out of this season and just find the silver lining to get better, prepare, and go be the team we think that they can be in 2025?
Yeah, I do think it's all about that potential trip to Hoover. I think at this point, that's all it is
Sure.
a potential trip to Hoover, because you're 3 games out of 13th place, and you've got to get to 12th to make it to the SEC tournament that week before Memorial Day. And I think that's a big deal. That's a no matter what for any team, just to get in there and
Sure.
say you at least played some postseason. And I think that is really the thing to play for this team that's left on the table and whatnot. Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't think anyone within that program, and I'm not sure many on the outside, anticipated Auburn having this record at this point in the year.
I didn't.
Yeah, right. I did not. I literally didn't even cross my mind that Auburn could be under 500 overall in April. So yeah, sure, the schedule didn't shake out the best possible way. I mean, facing the top 4 teams in the country in 4 consecutive weeks, that takes a toll. That
Brutal.
really does. And it really hurts that you had that win against Tennessee on Friday night of 8A weekend. And then from there, everything just reeled, and you got nothing positive out of that. You still get run rule the next 2 days against Tennessee and so on. I thought you showed some really big positives against Georgia Tech on Tuesday night.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, scoring 12 runs, that's good. And I thought that's what kind of failed Auburn this weekend was the lack of hitting. Obviously, Friday night, Mississippi State puts up 8 runs. These other 2 games, you had opportunities to take the lead or win the game, and the hitting didn't really stay consistent.
Auburn struggled to put together complete games, but Hillman, to me, you mentioned fighting for a trip to Hoover, and I'm with you. I get it. Make the late season push, find yourself there, and just let's get weird. Postseason baseball, let's get weird. I'm all aboard on that train. But to me, the silver lining here in the way that you get out of this season and get ready for fall ball and get ready to get back to work in 2025, because at that point, like, I'm not throwing in all towels, just most of them, but getting quality innings from your starters, and getting good bullpen appearances. You've gotten lit up like Christmas trees, and on a number of occasions, just giving up big innings and finding a way to put together a couple of complete games.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's proof of concept to yourself. Look, you don't have to prove anything to your fans. You don't have to prove anything to leadership. Everyone on God's green earth knows that Butch Thompson's the guy. There's no discrepancies there, and it's more of a, I hate sounding like this. It's not like it's more of a, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed kind of thing with the Auburn fan base, because I don't think anyone's lost confidence in the leadership. I sure as hell haven't. I think Butch Thompson's a phenomenal baseball coach. I think that they got a pretty tough draw with their schedule, and I think that they had some arms get banged up, and they had some arms just not pan out, and they had some just young arms. There's a lot of things that you need help with, and unfortunately, you recruit so well, the guys go to the draft. So I mean, it's a give and take. I think it looks like quality innings and trying to put together a handful of just complete game efforts on both sides of the plate.
Yeah, I completely agree on the pitching staff and getting some of these guys important reps that will hopefully carry over. Obviously, again, transfer portal is big in college baseball, just like it is college basketball and football and every other sport. So yeah, you hope you return a lot of these guys, and you can't expect to return them all. So it's really identifying who wants to be here next year and getting them those quality reps and really helping them grow as much as they possibly can in this part of the schedule that you have a chance against live competition. So yeah, I think it's gonna be very interesting to see who throws over the next few weeks.
Sure.
So we'll find that out. And and again, like you said, or also like I said, they're still trying to win. Like
absolutely, every game.
That's important. That's in reach. So it's not just going to be completely giving up this team. So we'll see. And it starts tomorrow against Florida A&M in that mid-afternoon game.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to.
Today, whenever you're listening to this.
Today when this show comes out, yes, yeah. Today was this one as this releases, and like I said, I'm not wishing ill. I'm just kind of looking at how do you salvage things, and like you said, find the guys that want to stay on the wagon and still believe on what's going on at Auburn in the Auburn baseball program. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think you're going to lose any fan support. I think everyone still really believes in what's going on here.
Well, yeah, and look at what's going to happen next year. That first baseline club is going to open up the back 40 deck. Beyond the right center field wall is going to extend all the way to the batter's eye. And that thing is still continuing to be packed each and every weekend.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Exactly. And then you're going to have the seating above the Green Monster in left field. It's going to be awesome. And it's good. I can't wait for it. The construction, if you haven't been since A-Day, maybe, you need to go back by Plains Park to see how much it's grown. It really has. It is insane how much. You can somewhat see it on television broadcast when there's a foul ball hit down the first baseline, but in person, it's much bigger than it seems on TV.
I need to check that out next time I'm on the Plains. Then I haven't been there since A-Day, so I did finally get to check out the new. I'm sorry, it's not you guys. You won't call it this, but the new party deck. I did get to check that out, and that was awesome. I mean, what an atmosphere. There was some girl that was walking around with a live crawfish. It was wild. It was amazing. And Auburn still got kind of shut out, and not shut out, but got kind of blown out. But everyone was having a great time. Everyone's still really invested in the ball game. No doubt that there's fan support there. Speaking of teams that unveiled some new party deck, outfield porch, whatever you want to call it, let's talk a little bit about Auburn softball, who stole one against, you and I were talking before we got on the air, against a team that we both think they're better than,
right?
in a 3-game set, sealing 1 out of 3 against Kentucky in a weekend series that only makes sense that ends on a Monday, because of course it does. I hate scheduling sometimes. It makes no sense.
All about TV.
No, I get it. I understand that part.
Network. It's the 4 letters.
4-letter network. I get it. Has this group regained enough confidence since the announcement, and we can just call it the announcement now, that they can make a little noise this postseason? I know that we were talking beforehand that, things got to go right and they've got to stay dialed. But I think this team has gotten better in real time. And part of this has to be the fact they had so many games canceled due to rain.
Yeah, man. The cancellations earlier this season were absolutely insane. It continued this month. Auburn tried to reschedule that road game at UAB that was canceled from the end of February, and it got canceled again. The weather's just not cooperated with Auburn at all.
Cancellations we've ever had in a season?
I don't know, but talking to Coach Dean about it, he said he's never experienced that many before. It's unprecedented. And it just seems to affect Auburn a little bit more than even the teams that surround it geographically. It's wild.
Sure.
So point being is that, yes, I do think this team has really built it. Oh, well, I will say one more thing about the weather. That really impacted Saturday's game. I mean, let's be real. if you don't think that game shakes out a little bit differently, the way Shelby Lowe's been pitching, if it's not for that last final weather delay that forced her out of the game, I don't know. That I just think that Auburn just got a bad hand there with all those delays and the game taking so long, and Shelby not able to continue throwing in that one. So that is what it is. But obviously, you get to win tonight, and I think that the way you generated offense really helps with the momentum build, and you carry that into this weekend at Ole Miss, and obviously you end at home against Alabama. A series win against them, that is going to carry so much momentum into the postseason, the SEC tournament, which you are hosting this year. That's the big thing, is that you're hosting the SEC tournament this year. Yeah, this is the perfect year to try and get hot. You don't even have to leave the comfort of your own bed, your hitting facilities, or anything like that to go compete in the postseason and make that long trip. So that's what gives me the optimism that this team really is kind of poised for that and has a great chance to do that.
I agree, and I love that this team has really kind of rallied together, and stuck with each other through thick and thin in terms of team culture, team buy-in, being higher than we could have expected after notably and just noticeably not being as prepared as their opponents, and that's just not even their fault. And I'm not placing blame on Mickey Dean here. Nobody here can control the weather. That's just the pain of the matter. Is those non-conference and your midweeks are designed to get you ready for conference play and make you better. You don't have I'm not saying it's a live practice because you got to win the ball game. That's that simple. But it doesn't help you that you don't have reps as a team. And honestly, Maddie Pence has gotten cheated out of what could have been an even more historic year in terms of how many more wins she could have had.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I'm just being honest. I mean, she's the GOAT, like, period. Build statues as soon as she graduates, in my humble opinion. A couple others you got to build first. I acknowledge. But I'm not naive to that. But a real bummer for her and a real bummer for the rest of this team, because I think they could have been a whole lot hotter coming into the season. I think they were a whole lot better than they looked.
Yeah, and I think that, quite frankly, I think that some of the performances have you've certainly seen it struggle a little bit as well. Maddie's, I don't think, has been quite as sharp as she was last year in her Pitcher of the Year campaign, yet she still leads the SEC in a bunch of categories, so shows just how good she is.
Sure.
But you see it a lot in the first games of the series that she pitches, where they do the graphic every single time on TV. Her first game against the same team that she pitches again, and her stats in the second game are just much better, and it shows. So I think that partially is because of the early season not being able to get ramped up for SEC play. I think it goes the same for Shelby Lowe. What she's shown these last 2 weeks has been unreal compared to where she was last year, where she couldn't throw a complete game. And it's really awesome to see. It was great for her to get honored on Saturday for her senior day. And like I said, it's unfortunate that she didn't get to finish that game out, close it out, and get a win, but it's just how Mother Nature works.
Sure. I think this team's clicking a whole lot better. I'm excited to see how they perform down the stretch. It's that simple. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat. Let's round the show out here, Hillman. And let's talk about something that's, in my opinion, extremely exciting. And I think you would share this sentiment. Auburn getting ready to compete in the men's golf SEC championship in St. Simons, just a couple hours due east of where I live, actually. You and I had toyed with the idea of maybe going and hanging out. The SEC 6 is here. I'm going to butcher some names. I think I butchered them all year, so please correct me. And I have been. I want you to know I have been actually reporting on Auburn golf, just so you know.
Love it.
I've been in. Okay. So your SEC 6 are your usual suspects. Alex Vogelsong. Nailed? Yes. All right. That's perfect. Brendan Valdez. Valdez. Okay. I've been screwing that one up all year. We're going to pretend like that didn't happen, listeners of the College Loop. All right. Carson Baca. Only way that name could be pronounced. Jackson Coyven, JK. Which one is? Does he actually go by JK, or is that just something they play on Instagram?
Yeah, I think they call him JK.
JK. J.M. Butler, and then Josiah Gilbert.
Yeah.
Auburn wins this by how many strokes? This seems unbelievable.
So obviously, it starts with the stroke play portion, then there's match play for the actual trophy.
Sure.
Those 3 rounds of stroke play. Well, so here's the thing. In its regular season finale, which was the Mossy Oak Collegiate this past Monday, Tuesday.
That was a close one, by the way.
So Auburn's second place. Auburn won it. Auburn won. Let's just go ahead and spoil that part if you don't know.
It's already been spoiled on the show, but please continue.
Number 5, Ole Miss, was second place, and Auburn beat Ole Miss by 34 strokes, the 5th ranked team in the nation, in its home state. Wasn't its tournament. That's Mississippi State's home, of course. But number 5, Ole Miss, Auburn beat by 34 strokes, and that's why they're number 1 in the country. And I just really think that these guys are really locked in. I mean, they've won, I think, 4 straight tournaments now. 7 total this season. That's a school record by 2. It's really been a special year for Auburn men's golf, a seriously historic year. And obviously, it's a matter of it carrying in to postseason, into the SEC championship, then the NCAA regionals, and then the NCAA championship. And because these tournaments are match play at the end, both of the championships, it kind of comes down to chance who's on that day.
Sure.
Because the stroke play, sure, because you have 5 great golfers, one of them's not having a good day, someone's having an okay day, but those 3 other guys are having solid days. You still have a great chance to win because of how talented they are. Match play is a little bit different, where if you have two guys that aren't on their A game, all it takes is for the matchups to switch where your opponents are on their A game against the guys that aren't on their A game, and they win their matches, and then they just got to win 1 more to advance. So match play is such a different beast than stroke play is. So I'm really excited to see what they look like when we get to that point in the championships.
I'm pumped. I'm really, really excited. I think Auburn's got a great shot to win this thing. And like
Absolutely.
you said, a historic year. I think they're the clear favorite to win this thing. Number 1 golf per several different polls, which I claim to be the best at ranking Auburn men's golf in the year of our Lord 2024, have Auburn at number 1 in the country. I think they're the best team in the country. There's a lot of talent in this NCAA field. Actually, a historically talented NCAA field if you look top to bottom. But
let's just go ahead and get out in front of this. Auburn's best golfer on this team might be a freshman in Jackson Coypen.
Okay, that was my next question. How long should Auburn fans enjoy having Jackson Coypen in Auburn?
Enjoy him while you can, guys. He really hasn't made the rounds on the professional tours yet, but I don't think we're very far from it. He's going to compete in these summer tournaments these amateur tournaments that J.M. Butler competed in. Won the U.S. Women's Amateur last year. And that's where he's going to really show how good he is. And sponsors will take notice. And if he wins something, he's into majors and other PGA tournaments. And that's how things go quickly, like Nick Dunlap at Alabama.
I was just about to mention Nick Dunlap.
He played in the Masters last year as an amateur and then won the U.S. Amateur. And this year, he gets a sponsor's exemption into the American Express Championship back in January, and he won. And then he turned pro the next week, and obviously he can't play at Alabama anymore.
Right.
So that's how quickly these guys can just flip the switch and make a jump in their pro careers. And I think Coypen has that ability. Things have to go exactly right, but it's possible.
I think that some form of tour card is in his very near future. Right. If he keeps playing the way, I mean, it definitely is. He keeps playing the way he is right now.
For sure. And that's not to mention the older guys in J.M. Butler and Brendan Valdez. They have both played incredible careers at Auburn. J.M. Butler, like he was in the semifinals of the U.S. Amateur. Nick
over
Dunlap,
500 career birdies, no?
Huh?
Over 500 career collegiate birdies, right?
Correct. Yes.
Oh
and that I mean, here's the thing. In that U.S. Amateur, the guys he lost to, the U.S. Amateur champion Nick Dunlap, he didn't lose to him, but match play, but he's the one that won. The guy that Nick Dunlap who beat Butler, was Neil Shipley, the guy who played with Tiger Woods on Sunday at Augusta. I mean,
what a story.
Yeah, you just ran into a juggernaut there, JM, and like that is what it is. So I think those two guys have a great chance to make it on tour as well. So it'll be exciting to watch their professional careers after they hopefully bring home an SEC and national title rings for Auburn men's golf.
Yeah, very exciting. I don't know that I'm still learning the lore when it comes to Auburn men's golf, but I have a hard time imagining that it's ever been more exciting to be a fan of Auburn men's golf.
Do you know the Wells Paget putt from the SEC championship?
Yes.
Holy, I mean that is a core Auburn memory for me. Like
that adds up so strongly.
It was only a few years ago. I think probably 2018, 2017. I can't remember the exact year, but man, it's just I remember being in my living room on Sunday morning and just pulling so hard for those guys. And when that putt went down, my parents had to make sure I was okay because it was Sunday morning and I am screaming my head off. So, yeah.
Why does this not surprise me about you at all, Hillman? Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Before we get out of here, I'm gonna read a couple things super quick. I'm gonna go back to my audition and then we're gonna get out of here. Hillman, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It means the world to me, brother. If you guys are hanging out with us here on the YouTube stream, thank you guys. I'm glad you guys made it all the way here. If you didn't, you missed out because Hillman and I went on a wild side tangent there for a second. You just heard a great personal anecdote of Jacob Hillman scaring his parents on a Sunday morning as a young man. But I digress. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the College Loop YouTube channel. Drop a comment. Give us your feedback on anything that Hillman and I have talked about. Tell him how wrong he is. It's my favorite thing to do in my free time is to tell him that he's wrong. Not actually. I respect the hell out of this guy and appreciate him for coming and hanging out with me. Always a good time. But make sure you drop your comments. Give us your feedback. Tell us what you guys want to hear on the Thursday show. I started to think about what day it was. That's a problem I deal with sometimes. If you guys are hanging out on a streaming platform, thank you so much. That is not lost on us how important that is for you guys to hang out as well. Give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is on your platform of choice. Share the show with a friend so we continue to grow the College Loop family. If you want to support the show in ways to go beyond just like, subscribe, and ring the bell, go over to thewarreport.com, www.thewarreport.com. Pick up your very own College Loop podcast, War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Field Loopy t-shirt, 5 different colorways, $25. And once you pick up your shirt, make sure you use hashtag Feeling Loopy. That's Feeling without the G on your favorite social media platform. Send us a selfie, tag us in it. Use hashtag Feeling Loopy, Feeling without the G, and we will throw it up on the next show, next stream. That being said, Hillman, it's about time to get out of here. I'm going to ask everyone to drop one more thing in the comments. Jacob Hillman and I are playing golf together on Saturday for the first time, actually, in some shape, or form. Jacob Hillman beats me by under 23 strokes, 23 and a half strokes. Actually that feels right. 23 and a half strokes on Saturday. Give us your over under in the comments. For context, I'm being nice here. I'm obviously a scratch golfer. Hillman can't even keep a straight face with me. Give that in the comments. Jacob, looking forward to hanging out with you this weekend. Thanks for coming on the show. Don't know how much more we're going to be able to do this, so really, really appreciate you.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm taking the under on that. Just my swing needs some work. We're getting there, but it still needs some work.
What do you think you're going to shoot? Like an 80, 85, 86?
Yeah. If I play like I did last Sunday, then no. But if I play like I hope I do, then yes.
Well, if I play like I hope I do, I'm going to shoot even. So
same, I guess.
But I love that. Thanks for hanging out, Hillman. Tell everybody where they can find you, love you, and support you, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Jacob Hillman AU, as well as the Auburn Sports Network at AU Sports Network. Obviously, a lot of the broadcasts are winding down, but still plenty of content that Voice of the Tigers, Andy Bertram's pushing out podcasts. And speaking with he spoke with head coach Nick Kleiner of Auburn men's golf on the Talking Tigers podcast last week. So check that out. This week's guest was Caitlin Atkinson, former Auburn gymnast. But continue to follow over there.
We got to get Nick Kleiner on over here at the Loop. That'd be sick. That'd be a play.
His conversation with Andy was awesome. It really was. So I encourage y'all to check it out wherever you find your podcast or or War Eagle Plus. So.
War Eagle Plus. Look at that plug. Look at you go, Mr. Hillman. I appreciate you, man. I'm Harrison Tarr, at by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app and on Instagram. If you guys want to come hang out, give me your good takes, your bad takes, everything in between. Love interacting with you guys. You guys make my day and break my day. It just depends on how nice or mean you guys decide to be, depending on the day. Just kidding. I don't let anything get to me. If you want to hang out with some new content, got a new That's One _ golf video. That's numeral 1. That's One _ golf video coming out hopefully later this week. I know we're a little bit behind on our release schedule, and that's unlike me. So it really is driving me bonkers. But unfortunately, I do have a full-time day job. So I, have to balance things out a little bit and still put out some content here at the Loop. You get it, Hillman. It's a busy, busy world. But would love to have you guys come hang out.
Real life, man. It gets to you.
It's the worst, man. Why did I sign up for this? But check us out at That's One _ golf, and same on YouTube, same handle, same way to find us. No problemo there. You can follow me at Tarr _15 on TikTok if you enjoy really, really bad golf videos. That's what I'm here for. Maybe I'll make one with Hillman this weekend. Maybe a little one club challenge for a hole. Could be down. Hillman shaking his head no. We'll see. I'll work on him.
Hey, listen, if I'm going low, then no, we're not doing any one club challenge.
All right, so we decide this at the turn.
Yes, that's fair.
Okay, we'll decide no later than hole 16, and I'll let you guys know on the Loop if Hillman and I wind up recording some content. It'll be electric. Anyways, I digress. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us here at the College Loop Podcast. You can find us at the College Loop on any of your social medias, any of your streaming platforms of choice, and obviously right here at the College Loop YouTube channel. Until then, this has been the College Loop Podcast. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We will see you guys next time.